Start with the Baltimore Ravens, Colin. They had their first team practice of training camp Sunday. Lamar Jackson was not there. He was sent home with an illness. And, last time we talked to the Ravens, they were getting their doors blown off at home by the Chiefs. Maybe that's strong, but they were favored and they did not show up.
True.
At any rate, the media is asking John Harbaugh about criticism directed at Lamar, who's got 2 MVPs, but struggled in the playoffs, about Lamar not reaching the Super Bowl. Here's Harbaugh's response.
There's a lot of great things said about Lamar, but there's a lot of stuff that's said that you got to just scratch your head about and kind of wonder, what's that person even thinking, but we take it personally. He's got a growth mindset. He's going to get better and better, no doubt. But what does he have to do to prove himself to some people, right? And the vision that we have together is that Lamar Jackson is going to become and be known and be recognized as the greatest quarterback ever to play in the history of the National Football League.
You know what's interesting? I'm going to give you 4 players. Outside of these 4 quarterbacks, Brady, Mahomes, Joe Montana, and Eli Manning. Now just listen.
All right.
Super Bowls and playoffs are really hard. When Eli made them, he was great. Brady, Montana, Mahomes, and Eli. Take those 4 out. Peyton Manning got his doors blown off in a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning struggled for years early playoff game. John Elway got his doors blown out in the playoffs and Super Bowls. If you take out 4 quarterbacks, Brady, Montana, Mahomes, and strangely, Eli Manning, who when they made the playoffs went on these crazy runs, they're hard for Aaron Rodgers. They were hard for Brett Favre. They were hard for Elway. They're hard for everybody. They're hard for Josh Allen. Playoffs are hard. The coaching's better.
Yeah.
I mean, the weather's crappy, so there's weird stuff that happened. I mean, Brady one time got his hand ripped before a game and somehow miraculously overcame it. But my takeaway on Lamar is if you are special, win 76% of your games, every quarterback except those 4, maybe Bart Starr, didn't see him play, obviously. Everybody struggles in the playoffs. Even Mahomes got his doors blown off in a Super Bowl when he didn't have his tackles.
Everybody does struggle in the playoffs.
It's
harder,
hard.
Obviously. And the sample size is tiny.
Tiny.
You have 60 minutes. You have a bad game.
It's over.
That being said, Colin, one of these years he's got to break through, right?
It's this year.
It's definitely not this year. You want to go ahead and take the Ravens for the Super Bowl. But, listen, we can defend him all we want, sure. Like Peyton Manning struggled, I think it was his first 5 years.
Yeah.
He had no playoff wins.
Yeah.
But we're in now a social media era where it's like, hey, deliver or you're going to get ripped.
Yeah. I mean, we consider Jalen Hurts to be a really good quarterback. And if you take out one great year with Shane Steichen, we're not quite sure what he is. Dak Prescott has had almost no success. How many years he been playing in the postseason at all? So the quarterbacks we like struggle in the playoffs. Josh Allen's as talented as anybody I've ever seen. It's very rare when you're Bradshaw and you get the Hall of Fame coach, the Hall of Fame offensive line, stalwart, great defense. That you can't build that anymore. So what you hope you can't build a team as good as Bradshaw's Steelers. So what you hope is that you get the GM and the coach like Mahomes or Brady. When Brady early had Scott Pioli, Belichick, good ownership. Because even those New England teams had holes all over the offense. In Kansas City, they don't have a receiving core the last 2 years. So my take is salary cap has eliminated the 75 Steelers. That stuff doesn't exist. What it creates, and some of those Bill Walsh Niner teams, what it creates is teams with flaws and limitations. You cross your fingers on injury attrition. But for the last 20 years, 2 quarterbacks in the world, Brady and Mahomes, have not struggled in the playoffs. 2, that's it.
I don't know. Kyle Shanahan got to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy in a 5-year span.
Lost both.
Oh, so now it is they lost the Super Bowl. So getting there is irrelevant. Who cares? You got to the Super Bowl. Lamar, okay. What is Lamar then? Can't even get to a Super Bowl.
It's hard.
So if you're going to call Purdy and Garoppolo losers, what's Lamar? Hey, enjoy the MVPs. You haven't won.
Those are
you haven't
worth,
been to a Super Bowl.
Those are worth something. If you take out the MVPs, what's Aaron Rodgers' career? 1 Super Bowl. I mean, MVPs matter somewhere. I mean, we can't give Aaron Rodgers credit for his MVP. That's all I ever hear. Look at all these MVP. Well, Lamar's got MVP. Youngest guy to ever have 2 MVPs. So MVPs do matter in the construct of arguments.
Again, Aaron's been playing longer. They've had some fluky nonsense happen to them in the playoffs. That Seattle game. Oh, stop it. Come on. The Seattle game with the onside kick in the playoffs. Rodgers has been a little unlucky. I don't know. I'm still waiting. It's been 6 months. What the hell happened to Lamar and the Ravens against the Chiefs? And don't say Patrick Mahomes, because they couldn't move the football, Colin.
I know.
Tell me, what happened?
OC game plans.
Oh, it's the OC. Oh, okay, here we go. Always blame someone else. Lamar, free pass. He's clean living if you're Lamar Jackson. Never your fault. Let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys. They open camp this week, and the Athletic.
Of Bronny James being drafted. LeBron James has carried the NBA for 20 years. He didn't have a long playoff run this year. Did you see the NBA ratings? As every other sport, WNBA, Copa, Euros, college football, up. NBA ratings, tank. No LeBron. Isn't it kind of an understanding in America? You do me well, I owe you a solid. That's like a given, right? I take you to the airport, you're buying the next dinner, I help you move, I get a little something back. If I carry your sport, get you a new TV contract worth $7 billion, you got a problem with Bronny James getting drafted by the Lakers? It's the weakest NBA draft in maybe ever. It shows how polarizing LeBron James is. And my takeaway is, you're really bothered by it? LeBron James has carried the league for 20 years. He and Steph Curry have carried the league. Neither made a playoff run this year. Ratings went to the tank. No LeBron, no Steph. Yeah, I'm okay in the weakest draft ever, the Lakers going, we'll do you solid. By the way, I think his son's a G League. I think at best, he's a low-end rotational player. But this draft was horrible. By the way, how many sons who aren't qualified or at minimum aren't the best candidate end up on their father's staff in the NFL or college? Nobody gets too worked up over that. I'm not losing sleep over it, and nor should you. Welcome back on a Monday. Colin right, Colin wrong, 40 minutes from now. So Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones' son, helps run the Cowboys, was on the Scoop City podcast, and he's talking about something that we've discussed for about 6 months to a year. The NFL used to play 14 games. Then they went to 16 games. Then they added a game. They're going to go to 18 games. That'll probably be the cap on it. Over the course of 46 years, they went from 14 to 17. Everybody was fine. The league got better. The quality got better. So they're going to move to 18 games. And Stephen Jones says, it's pretty much inevitable.
I'm on the competition committee. We've talked about this, knowing that it's probably inevitable. The players, enjoy the compensation that's coming their way, and they get, for the most part, half of every revenue dollar that comes through the door. We all know when we go to 18 games, the revenue is going to jump, and certainly should only help in terms of the money available to pay players and, get players the compensation.
So players adjust. I watched the political landscape this weekend. I watch everybody freak out and make claims. People adjust. A few years ago, in a more sensitive, wokier world, there were these cries that Thursday night football was so terrible for the players. It was outrageous. If you watch the Netflix series called Receivers, San Francisco's George Kittle says players love Thursday night games because they get the weekend off to actually hang with their families during the NFL season. Players adjust. The league is safer. The concussion protocols have been tightened. The NFL's eliminating kickoffs, the most dangerous play. There's less practice time. There's less hitting. The medical staffs are light years better than 25 years ago, and the rules, frankly, just make it safer. There's less hitting. If you go to Super Bowls, the Super Bowl this last year, San Francisco was missing one starter due to injury, a safety. And then a linebacker got hurt during the game, but it was non-contact. He just hurt himself running on the field. And I'm not sure Kansas City was missing any starters. The league is safer. Nobody wants to admit it. And players now make so much money that a single game check for a Christian McCaffrey, a Mahomes, a Lamar, a Josh Allen, a star receiver, a star edge rusher can be over $1 million for